So after the surprising success of my Kenwood Chef video showing how to make a gooseberry cake last week, the Cake Club challenge for the Sheffield Underground Cake Club today is to make cakes in a mug, and there was some suggestion of these being microwave cakes. Despite my age, I've never had a microwave until less than 2 years ago, and I think I've used it about 20 times so far, and that's for defrosting things out of the freezer. So this is quite a novel challenge for me. And I've tried 3 different microwave cake recipes off the internet, and they were completely inedible. The first one, well, I suppose some people might have liked it, but it certainly had what Mary Berry would call a soggy bottom. In fact, I would call it raw, apart from the very, very centre of it, about a ping pong sized ball part in the middle that I would call cooked. It did look like the picture on the recipe, but I wasn't eating that. The second one I tried turned out quite the opposite. It was very, very spongy on the outside, very, very dry, and as soon as you put the knife in it, you could hear the crunch of the lump of coal in the middle, where the centre of it was burnt to an absolute cinder. And so I'm having a third attempt now, and this is now effectively my own recipe. I've taken most of the proportions from the second attempt I tried that was burnt in the centre. I've changed some of the ingredients to ones of my own, and I'm going to see what happens with this as a mug cake. And crucially, I've halved all the amounts, because what happened with both the first and the second cakes I made was that there was far too much. Using the size of mug that was recommended, it came all over the top. The first one sort of filled the microwave oven up with what looked like expanding foam. The second one made this sort of mountain of cooked cake all around the mug. So I've halved everything. So what we've got is 1 egg, 2 ounces of flour. I'm actually using buckwheat flour to keep ordinary white flour back for other things while it's hard to get in the shops. Half an ounce of carob powder. Cocoa powder would be fine, but I've got carob in stock, so I'm using that. 2 ounces of caster sugar. This happens to be Billington's Golden Caster, but I'm sure it makes no difference either way. Half a teaspoon of baking powder, and the grated zest of 1 lime. And here we've got the juice of that same 1 lime, and actually I've kept the flesh in there as well. I've just strained the pips out and kept the flesh with the juice as well. And I've also kept back some margarine. I'm using block stalk rather than butter. I've kept that back for greasing the dish with. And the final ingredient going to go in with it is 2 ounces of melted butter or margarine. It does say to melt that in the microwave. I've melted it in a little pan on the stove because it just happened to be equally quick for me. So there we go. And so what we're going to do, following the method of one of the cakes I tried that was a disaster, is put everything that I've mentioned into the food processor. So in goes the dry ingredients, in goes, that's dripped down the edge, in goes 1 egg. Let's just wipe that drip up before it goes all down the side of the machine. And then I'm going to turn it on with that, and I'm going to pour in the butter and the lime juice whilst it's running. So this will get a little bit noisier, but hopefully not too noisy, because this is quite a nice quiet food processor. Here we go. Okay, so that's mixed everything together as per the method that was shown on the recipe I've nicked this from. I suspect that's a little bit liquid. I'm just going to have a look and see. Oh no, actually, no, that doesn't look too bad. I thought that was going to be a little bit liquidy. And I'm just going to get a spatula though, scrape down the food processor and give it another quick pulse to make sure that there's nothing dry that's failed to mix in. No, that's quite a good consistency. At first I thought it sounded squelchy and liquidy. Okay, so that's the mixture all mixed up. I'm going to put that into a bowl, and I'll pause the video while I do that and then show you what it looks like before it goes in the microwave, and then cross everything for me, because I'm going to microwave it for 1 minute and 45 seconds. That I don't know if microwaves work the way as standard ovens. They probably don't. I don't know much about them, but that's exactly 1/3 of the time that the recipe I've sort of stolen the ratios from used, and that was the one that was burnt to a cinder in the middle. So since I've halved the ingredients, I'm going to go for a third of the time. I'm going to poke a skewer or something in it like you would with one in the oven and see whether it feels like it's burnt in the middle or not. So here goes the pause, show you a picture of it in the cup in a second. Okay, so here is the cake mixture in the cup, mug, whatever. It's a 2/3 of a pint mug, and the instructions said that I should use a mug with 500 millilitre capacity, which by my reckoning is a little bit smaller than this one. So I'm going to microwave it now. I won't bother trying to show that. As I say, I'm going to try it for 1 minute 45 seconds first of all. Hope that won't incarcerate it and turn it into a incinerate it, rather than turn it into a burnt offering. And I'll test it and so on. If I have to put it back for a few seconds, I will do, and then I'll let you see what happens when it's done. And so here is the hopefully cooked chocolate lime mug cake. As you can see, it's come right up to and piled over the top of this cup, which is a larger capacity than the recipe recommended. But there you go. I have altered the recipe to be my own version anyway, so I suppose I can't complain too much about that. And I know nothing about microwave cake cookery. It's not what I'd call an attractive looking cake. I don't like the way that it's sort of bubbled up around the side of the cup and left a mucky edge to it. And I know that certainly the recipe that I've adapted this from suggests that you serve it to people warm from the microwave with cream on top. Well, to me that's not a cake. To me that's something like a sponge pudding. Anyway, my intention is to let this go cold completely, and once it has done, I'm going to run a knife around the edge of the cup, and hopefully the greasing I did and the flour that I put in will release it, and I'm going to tip it out and turn it the way up and hope that it looks more like a cake, just like you might with one that you baked in a conventional oven. As for what it tastes like, I don't know. As you can possibly see, there's a bit here that's slightly rough. It had actually flopped right onto the edge of the cup and was beginning to spill over there. So I broke that piece off and tasted it. It certainly tastes very limey and chocolatey. Other than that, I can't say it tastes any different from a cake I'd make in an oven. I guess that's a good thing. So there you go. Chocolate lime, or in this case carob-lime mug cake, made in a microwave and using buckwheat flour. Enjoy.